I am grateful for myself and for my life. I am grateful for the path I have already walked, even if I did not always immediately understand its meaning. Today, I look at myself with love and acknowledge in every step, in every choice, in every decision, I was present, even when I doubted, even when I was afraid. And now I allow myself to see I always did my best with what was possible at that moment in my life. I am grateful for the experiences that have taught me to listen to myself, for the moments when I made mistakes, because they showed me how alive I am and how capable I am of learning. I no longer judge myself for past decisions. I accept them as part of my growth. Every decision I made was an attempt to care for myself, even if I did not have complete clarity at the time. I am grateful that today I can pause and feel myself more deeply. I allow myself to trust myself, not hastily, not by force, but gently, gradually, with respect for my inner rhythm. I feel a new support being born within me, calm, quiet, but very strong. It is a support in myself. I trust myself and my decisions. I trust my inner voice, even if it speaks quietly. I know that truth for me does not live in the noise of others' opinions, but in the depths of my heart. I am learning to hear myself without fear. I allow myself to pause, feel, and choose with awareness. I am grateful for my body, which always sends me signals, for my emotions, which are not enemies, but wise guides, for my intuition, which accompanies me even if I have ignored it in the past. Today, I reclaim my right to trust these signals. I acknowledge I have inner wisdom. I allow myself to no longer doubt my own value. My vision matters. My experience is important. My sense of reality is genuine. I am not obligated to explain every decision to the world. It is enough for me to be in alignment with myself. I am grateful that I can choose. I choose trust in myself. I choose to follow my own path, even if it is not always understood by others. I allow myself to be alive, to change, to clarify my decisions, and to grow along with them. I feel with every breath the tension within me easing. I no longer struggle against myself. I stand on my own side. I support myself internally. I speak words to myself that I have long needed to hear. I am with you. I trust you. You can. I am grateful for the present moment. It is here that I begin a new relationship with myself, a relationship based on respect, acceptance, and trust. I allow this trust to grow within me, take root, and become the foundation of my life. And in this inner silence, I feel self-trust is not a one-time decision. It is a path that I begin to walk consciously. I am grateful that self-trust begins to live in me not as an idea, but as a feeling. I feel that I no longer need to prove my correctness, neither to myself nor to others. A quiet knowing arises within me. I can rely on myself. I can be my own support, and this is enough to move forward. I am grateful for all my aspects, light and dark, strong and vulnerable. I allow myself to be whole. I no longer divide myself into right and wrong. I accept myself as I am, now, in this moment. From this acceptance, true trust is born, not forced, not trained, but alive and genuine. I am grateful for my doubts. Previously, I saw them as weakness, but now I begin to see depth in them. My doubts are a sign that I care, that I am seeking truth for myself, and I allow myself not to rush decisions if I need more time. I trust my pace. I trust the way I live life. I am grateful that I am learning to listen to myself honestly. without embellishment, without self-deception. I allow myself to acknowledge when I am in pain, when I am tired, when I need support, and at the same time, I recognize my strength, the one that does not shout, but quietly holds me from within. I am learning to be with myself in any state. I trust myself and my decisions even when I do not know the outcome in advance. I know life unfolds step by step, and each of my steps has the right to be as it is. I do not punish myself when something does not work out. I see it as experience that helps me understand myself better. I am grateful for the ability to change my decisions. I allow myself to rethink. I allow myself to grow. I no longer cling to old choices just because they were made before. I choose the living truth of today. I trust myself enough to allow myself to change direction when I feel it is necessary. I am grateful for my boundaries. I am learning to feel where I end and another begins. I allow myself to say no without guilt. I allow myself to say yes without fear. My yes and my no have equal value. Both are expressions of trust in myself. I am grateful that my decisions gradually become calmer. They arise not from panic and not from the desire to please, but from an inner sense of correctness. I feel clarity emerging within me, not sharp, not categorical, but soft and confident, one that does not require approval. I am grateful for my intuition, which speaks to me in the language of feelings. I am learning to trust this language. I allow myself to pause and listen. I do not devalue my inner signals. I know they lead me to greater wholeness. I am grateful that I no longer betray myself for the sake of others' peace. I choose to be honest with myself, even if it is not easy, even if it requires courage. I know each time I choose myself, my trust in myself becomes stronger. I feel a new inner state forming within me, a state of inner harmony. I do not need to be perfect to trust myself. It is enough for me to be sincere. I allow myself to make mistakes and to correct them. I allow myself to be in the process. I am grateful for this stage of my journey. I feel that self-acceptance gradually transforms into inner peace, and from this peace begins to arise an even deeper sense of security, the feeling that I can be myself in the world. And it is this feeling of inner security that will become the foundation for the next part, where self-trust begins to manifest in interaction with life and the world. I am grateful that the inner trust born within me begins to extend outward. I notice how my interaction with life is changing. I no longer feel the need to constantly defend myself or prove my correctness. I allow myself to be open to the world without losing myself. My self-trust becomes that quiet strength that accompanies me in every contact, in every conversation, in every choice. I am grateful that I can be myself among other people. I do not hide my true feelings. I do not diminish myself to be convenient. I allow myself to speak from a place of inner truth. And even if I am not always understood, I remain in alignment with myself. I know my honesty with myself is more important than external approval. I am grateful for the experience of relationships that taught me to discern where I lose myself and where I remain whole. Now I notice these moments more subtly. I feel when my yes is sincere and when it arises from fear. I allow myself to choose differently. I allow myself to change the format of relationships if I feel it no longer supports me. I trust myself and my decisions in interaction with the world. I know I have the right to my own perspective, my own feelings, my own boundaries. I do not give up on myself for convenience. I am learning to be in contact, neither dissolving nor closing off. This is a new balance for me, and I allow myself to explore it gradually. I am grateful that my reactions are becoming calmer. I no longer act from impulse or inner tension. I give myself time to feel before responding. I allow myself a pause. In this pause, I hear myself, and from it arise decisions I later do not regret. I am grateful that life begins to respond to me differently. When I trust myself, the world also becomes more open. I notice how people and situations appear in my life that resonate with my inner state. I do not chase them, I simply allow them to be. I am grateful for the ability to make decisions without internal struggle. Even if the choice is difficult, I remain with myself. I do not break myself. I listen to my feelings, my needs, my truth. And I know, even if the path is difficult, I can walk it because I will not leave myself along the way. I am grateful that I am no longer afraid to make mistakes in the eyes of others. I allow myself to be alive. I allow myself not to know all the answers. I know my value does not depend on flawlessness. My value is in my sincerity and inner wholeness. I feel how self-trust gradually becomes the foundation of my presence in the world. I stand on my inner ground. I do not rush. I do not compare myself. I do not betray myself. I move in my own rhythm, and this rhythm is right for me. I am grateful for every moment in which I choose myself, not out of selfishness, but out of love. I see how this affects my life. I begin to live more consciously, more honestly, more peacefully. And in this peace, a deep sense of the correctness of my path arises. I am grateful that I can trust life through trust in myself. I know the world will not always be simple, but I will always be with myself. And this knowledge fills me with inner strength. I feel how this strength gradually transforms into a new quality, into inner resilience. A resilience that does not depend on circumstances and is not destroyed by change. And it is this inner resilience that will be the theme of the next part, where self-trust will unfold as support in any life situation. Part 4. Inner Resilience as a Foundation. I am grateful that a sense of resilience is forming within me. This is not rigidity or tension. It is a soft yet reliable presence that stays with me even when the outer world changes. I no longer seek support solely outside. I find it within myself, in my ability to be present with myself in any circumstances. I am grateful for all the situations that once seemed too difficult. Today I see it was they who helped me feel my own strength. I have not become perfect, but I have become more honest with myself. I have learned to remain in contact with myself even when it was scary or uncertain, and now this ability becomes my inner support. I trust myself and my decisions, even in moments of instability. I know I may not have ready answers, but I can find them in the process. I allow myself to move step by step. I do not demand immediate clarity from myself. I give myself time, and there is trust in that as well. I am grateful that my inner core is becoming stronger. I no longer collapse under criticism. I listen, but I do not betray myself. I am able to distinguish external judgments from my own truth. My sense of self becomes stable and calm. I know who I am, even if the world around me changes. I am grateful for my emotions, all of them, without exception. They no longer scare me. I allow them to exist, to pass, to change. I do not hide from them or drown in them. I remain present with myself in every emotional state. This is my inner resilience. I am grateful for the ability to make decisions without haste and without escape. I do not pressure myself. I listen to my body, my heart, my silence.
And from this silence arise decisions that do not shake me internally, but rather strengthen me. I feel the fear of uncertainty leaving me. I begin to perceive it as a space of possibilities. I know, even if the path is unfamiliar, I will not abandon myself. I will listen, feel, and adjust my movement, and that is enough to move forward. I am grateful that I no longer try to control everything. I allow life to unfold. I allow myself to be flexible. My resilience is not in control, but in trust. In trust in myself and in the fact that I can handle whatever comes. I am grateful for the inner silence that appears between events. In this silence, I feel alive and whole. I feel that I do not need to rush or prove anything. I can simply be, and in this being, I find strength. I am grateful that my decisions become a support for me. I do not regret them because they arise from respect for myself. Even if something needs adjustment, I do it without self-judgment. I support myself through the process. I feel how inner resilience gradually becomes the background of my life. I do not cling to it, it simply is. It is with me in calm and in movement, in choice and in waiting. And from this resilience, a new state begins to emerge, deep self-confidence. And it is this confidence that will gently lead me to the next part, where self-trust will transform into inner freedom.
Part 5. Inner freedom of choice. I am grateful that the inner resilience living in me gradually opens a space of freedom. This is not freedom without limits, nor an escape from responsibility. It is the freedom to be myself in every decision. I no longer choose out of fear. I choose from a sense of inner truth, which quietly but confidently speaks within me. I am grateful that I allow myself to choose without inner compulsion. I no longer live by scripts that have long lost their meaning. I notice how old patterns release me. I do not fight them. I simply choose differently. My choice becomes an extension of myself, not a compromise with myself. I trust myself and my decisions in the space of freedom. I know I have the right to choose what aligns with my inner state. I have the right not to choose what no longer resonates. I am not obliged to explain every step I take. My inner agreement is enough. I am grateful for the sense of lightness that comes with this awareness. I no longer carry others' expectations on me. I reclaim my energy. I direct it toward a life I feel as my own. I allow myself to live not as I should, but as I feel is right. I am grateful that I can change direction without fear of losing myself. I know I always remain with myself, regardless of my choice. I do not tie my value to a single path. I allow life to be flexible, and myself alive in this flexibility. I am grateful for the inner honesty that becomes my guide. I no longer agree to what betrays my feelings. I do not reject myself for it. On the contrary, I support myself in every honest choice, and with each such choice, my trust in myself grows stronger. I am grateful that freedom does not frighten me. I accept it along with responsibility. I know each decision I make creates consequences, and I am ready to be with them, not with judgment, but with care for myself. I allow myself to learn from my own experience. I am grateful for the ability to listen to myself in the moment. I do not get stuck in the past, nor do I run into the future. I am present here and now, and it is precisely here that decisions arise that support my life. I trust this process. I feel how the freedom of choice gradually becomes my natural state. I do not need to fight for it. It arises from trust in myself, from acceptance, from resilience. I live with a sense of inner space where it feels good to be. I am grateful that my life begins to feel truly mine. I do not rush. I do not compare myself with others. I follow my own path in my own rhythm, and this path is full of meaning precisely because I choose it consciously. I feel how freedom gradually transforms into an even deeper state, a quiet, confident presence within myself, a presence in which there is no escape and no tension. And it is this presence that will lead me to the next part, where self-trust becomes a source of inner peace and harmony. Part 6. Inner peace as a result of self-trust. I am grateful that self-trust gradually transforms into inner peace. This is not a state in which all difficulties disappear, but a state in which I no longer fight with myself. I feel a calm that does not need proof. It simply exists in my breathing, in my thoughts, in my presence in the moment. I am grateful that I no longer need to constantly analyze every step I take. I allow myself to live. I allow decisions to arise from silence, not from anxiety. I know if I listen to myself, I will not stray from my path, even if I temporarily cannot see the whole picture. I trust myself and my decisions in this state of calm. I do not rush to change myself. I do not correct myself from a place of I am not enough. I allow myself to be as I am now, and it is from this acceptance that true peace is born. I am grateful that my thoughts are becoming softer. I no longer speak to myself harshly. I choose support instead of self-criticism. I choose understanding instead of judgment. I know my inner dialogue shapes my inner state, and I consciously choose to speak to myself with love. I am grateful for the ability to remain calm in uncertainty. I no longer try to resolve everything immediately. I allow life to move. I allow answers to come in their own time. I know, even in pauses, life supports me. I am grateful for the inner silence that arises between events. In this silence, I feel my wholeness. I do not need to fill every moment with actions or thoughts. I allow myself simply to be, and this being is filled with deep meaning. I am grateful that I stop comparing myself with others. I recognize the uniqueness of my path. I know my pace is right for me. My life unfolds as it should for me. I trust this unfolding. I am grateful that inner peace does not make me passive. On the contrary, it gives me clarity. I act when I feel an inner call. I rest when it is needed. I listen to myself and respect these signals. I feel the need to prove my value disappearing. I know who I am without words or explanations. My sense of self becomes quiet and stable. I am not shaken by others' judgments. I remain within myself. I am grateful that the peace living within me begins to reflect in my life. My decisions become simpler, my reactions calmer, my presence deeper. I live not against myself, but together with myself. I feel that this inner peace is not the end of the path, but a new quality of it. From it arises an even deeper awareness, a sense of union with myself and with life. And it is this union that will be the final theme of the next part, where self-trust unfolds as a natural state of being. Part 7. Unity with oneself as a natural state. I am grateful that self-trust is no longer an effort. It has become my natural state. I no longer seek it. I live in it. I feel a deep unity with myself, in which there is no division into right and wrong. There is only me, alive, feeling, present in my life. I am grateful that I no longer separate myself from my decisions. They do not scare me and do not bring inner tension. I accept them as part of my path. Even when life makes adjustments, I remain in alignment with myself. I know I can always return to myself and start again, calmly, without judgment. I trust myself and my decisions as one trusts a home to which one can always return. I am my home. Within me is space for joy and for fatigue, for clarity and for pauses. I do not push myself out of any state. I accept myself fully, and in this acceptance, I find deep peace. I am grateful that my life no longer feels like a struggle. I do not oppose myself and do not resist what is. I move together with life. I listen, feel, respond. My yes and my no arise from the same depth, from love for myself. I am grateful for the sense of wholeness that fills me. I do not need to become someone else to be enough. I already am. I am enough in my sincerity, in my pace, in my truth. I allow myself to live without constant self-correction. I am grateful that inner silence has become my background. In it, I hear life. In it, I hear myself. I do not fear this silence. It supports me. It reminds me who I am, even when the world around is noisy. I am grateful that I no longer doubt my own value. I do not seek validation outside. My sense of self is stable and deep. I know I have the right to be here, to live as I feel, and to follow my own path. I am grateful for every day in which I choose to be with myself, for every moment in which I do not betray my feelings, for every decision made from inner honesty. All of this forms a life that I feel as my own. I feel how self-trust permeates all areas of my life. It is in my words, in my actions, in my presence. I do not separate myself from life. I am part of its flow, and this flow supports me. I am grateful that I can complete this path with a sense of wholeness. I do not need to put a full stop. I simply remain in this state, a state of inner alignment, peace, and love for myself. I trust myself. I trust my decisions. I trust the life that unfolds through me. And in this trust, I live.